this episode of Travelogue. Join us as we enter Sichuan's Tibetan region and make our way over lofty mountain peaks and highland plateaus. We'll dine out on the plains Tibetan style, admire exquisite artwork at the Changqingchunhe Lamasery in Litang, and become the guest of honour at a no-expenses-spared camper Tibetan wedding. So we've just left Ya'an and now must drive through Erlong Mountain in order to reach the Ganzi Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture where our next destination lies. Luckily for us, we won't have to climb over Erlong's freezing peaks like these tea porters had to do in the old days. And once we reach the other side, the weather will turn from warm and wet to cold with intense sunshine. As for the next leg of our journey, we'll enter Kangding, the capital city of Ganzi Prefecture, pass by Xinduqiao, also known as the photographer's paradise, and finally arrive in Litang, one of the highest towns in the world. This is the road we're going to take. Let's get going. The journey from Ya'an to Kangding used to take nearly 20 days to complete back on the Otian horse trail. Thankfully, we now have the Erlong Mountain Pass, which allows us to traverse through the mountain as opposed to over it. At more than 4 kilometers long, the pass connects 2 different climate zones, so by the time we'd reached Ganzi Prefecture on the other side, it was already nighttime and markedly colder than it was in Ya'an. So we finally arrived in Kangding, and you can see that this is the best season to come here because of all the cars parked. But for tonight, the most important thing for us to do is to find some accommodation. Let's see if they have any rooms left. 哎，你好，你好，请问今天晚上还有屋子吗？没房间了。There are several 3-star hotels, but they're all packed. Let's go and find another one. 好，谢了。请问今天晚上还有房间吗？没有了。Hi, how you doing? Do you still have a bed available for tonight?
But we don't have the single, maybe one bed in the 4-bedroom?
Yeah, that's fine as well. What's the price?
It's 30 yuan per person.
Okay, no problem. So although the hotels were full, there were plenty of Tibetan-style hostels to take my pick from. The rooms were clean, the staff spoke good English and helped me book taxis, and I particularly enjoyed spending a night in an authentic Tibetan bed. The next morning, we set off to the sound of the rushing river bisecting Kangding. As soon as we left town, the landscape immediately opened up to us. It was an awesome experience driving along our road, with snow and cloud-covered mountains all around us, but we still had to tackle quite a few mountain passes before reaching our first snow-capped peak. Oh, it's bloody freezing! We've left Kangding and we've reached one of the first peaks on Zhedong Mountain. We're 4,300 meters high, and I'm not suffering from altitude sickness, but don't get too excited because your heart beats a bit too fast. I'm going to go check out that awesome stupa. Having reached Zhedong Mountain, we've now entered the historic region of Kham. It's one of the 3 ancient provinces of Tibet, with the other 2 being Ando and Weitang. Once we'd frozen our socks off on Zhedong Mountain, it was a relatively short drive to Xinduqiao, our next, slightly lower altitude destination. You'll know you've arrived when you see the landscape around you transform into endless rolling pastures, dotted with horses and rustic Tibetan dwellings. And in October, when the leaves fall, the plains are carpeted in a dance of colours. you don't even have to look for this scenery. It's all around us and everyone's stopped here to take photos.
There's a very good reason why Xinduqiao is known as the photographer's paradise. With these kinds of postcard quality landscapes and excellent light conditions, even an amateur can point and shoot for a perfect picture. Honestly though, after taking so many photos of livestock grazing on the pastures, I did start to feel a bit peckish.
Alright, let's go get a taste of our first Tibetan meal.
It's very common in Tibetan culture to have your meal out on the plains, so with the surroundings as inviting as they were, I was quite eager to try this traditional way of dining out.
Oh, look at this, what a nice spread. My first meal in a Tibetan plateau, and we're sitting here under the tent, under the lovely sky, and this is all typical Tibetan food. 这些是什么东西啊？这些都是大家咱们一块儿都是一般都吃的哈。对对对。啊，这是我们的牦牛肉，牦牛肉，然后这是土豆。
Also on the menu were yak buns and dumplings, but my personal favourite was a dry Tibetan cheese that tasted great with sugar. All of this was washed down with either butter tea or Qingke wine made from barley.
我介绍一下。哦，你好，叫我大姐。啊，你好，你好，你好。你好。介绍这个吃法。好，好，好，我不太知道这些是怎么吃啊。那个。好，咱们现在是做什么？做糌粑。做糌粑。嗯。Tsampa is the staple food of Tibetans, and 这个是什么东西？酥油。酥油。然后这个呢？这是清茶。So she puts a bit of yak butter in the bowl and mixes it with tea. 然后这个现在是什么？糌粑。So this is also called zamba, but it's barley flour, and she's pouring it into the bowl and.
It looked pretty fun to make tampa, so I asked if I could also get in on the action.
我自己试一下可以吗？好好。It feels weird. It's kind of like kneading warm mud. 现在可以吃啊？怎么吃啊？这是这样的，这样就是 Just give it a try. 好吃吗？特别好吃。I can't explain it. It's kind of like cookie dough, a bit like a wheat biscuit, but it's really, really, really nice. It sticks to your teeth as well. 好，谢谢了，谢谢，特别好吃。
With our stomachs full and fingers smelling like tampa, we headed into town, where I was pleasantly surprised to find other foreigners.
Hey guys, hey, how you doing? We're from CCTV9. We're an English travel program. Okay. We saw you guys and we had to stop our car to come out and say hello. Okay, sure. How are you guys finding Xinduqiao?
Because we have to change buses to go to Dagong.
Oh, okay. You're going to Dagong? So where are you going to afterwards? So, do you know about Shangri-La? Are you guys here to search for Shangri-La as well?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
You've been there already? How was it?
It was very
nice. Yeah.
It was good.
Did you?
People are very nice. Quite touristy.
Okay. Was it in Yunnan? Was it Zhongdian or was it Yading in Daoshan? Yading. Yeah. Brilliant. That's where we're going as well, and that should be. I've heard that it's incredible there, and it's meant to be quite unspoiled.
Yeah, but you have to go to Daocheng.
Have to go to Daocheng.
That is very unspoiled.
Definitely. All right, brilliant. We'll head back on our way then.
Okay, sure.
All right, have a great day, guys. Cheers. Bye.
Although we were spending a lot of time on the road, and sometimes quite perilous ones at that, the scenery was well worth it. From morning to evening, the view outside of the car window was constantly changing, so I was careful not to doze off and miss some spectacular sights.
We've left the photographer's paradise of Xinduqiao, and we've now arrived at Gaosi mountain. I can see all the way to the sacred Yala Snow Mountain over there, and we've come to watch the sunset over the horizon. I highly suggest you come at 5 o'clock because that's when it's at its most beautiful.
I would have loved to have stayed for the sunset, but we had to rush off to the next town before it got too late.
See you guys in Yajiang. 好，师傅，走。After a very bumpy 2-hour ride from Garsi Mountain, we finally arrived in Yajiang, where most people spend the night before they head off to Litang, the highest town on earth. Honestly, my head still hurts, so the prospect of spending a night at 4,000 meters above sea level isn't too fun for me. And Yajiang's 2,600 meter altitude is probably a lot better. We've come here at night, but people are still having fun and dancing, so I'm going to go and join them.
Dance is a part of daily Tibetan life. Often, you'll find people gathered outside dancing whenever they have a moment to spare. And although I was anything but graceful, I was also swept away by the infectiously cheerful music that night.
Shangri-La, a fabled utopia of mystical mountain valleys and a very real paradise on earth. Join Travelogue on a whirlwind adventure as we search for this lost land. Along the way, we'll encounter breathtaking scenery, fascinating cultures, and treacherous mountain paths. From the hardships we endure to the euphoria we enjoy, Travelogue takes you to some of the most spectacular parts of China. Join us on our fantastic 5-part adventure, Discovering Shangri-La.
Right, I'm well rested, my headache's gone, and everyone's getting ready to leave for Litang.
Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to really check out Yajiang, but I've been told its surroundings offer some great trekking opportunities. Arriving here at Khazla Mountain, I can honestly say I've never been so excited to see yak before.
Oh my god! Bloody hell, I think I'm in a bit of a danger zone. Oh, kush, 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 kush. Kush, 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 kush.
The yaks are in fact quite friendly, just as long as you don't harass them, and it's actually altitude sickness you need to watch out for.
Even climbing up this hill was tiring enough already. Remember, 4,718 meters above sea level. 师傅，走吧，走吧。哎呦。
When you're up at high altitudes, it's important not to get too excited. I'd highly advise against running and jumping around, because I did, and afterwards my head felt like it was being crushed in a vice. Medicines like Hongjingtian can help, but it's best to just rest well and not overexert yourself. Luckily for me, I dozed off for a while and woke up a lot better.
We're still 4,000 meters above sea level. I'm so hungry, I just wanted to grab a yak and bite into them, but we finally found a place to eat. 我看你们吃的非常香哈，那个
好吃啊，
很好吃哈。
对对的。
你们是从哪来的？
我们从香港来的。
香港。
对呀。
Alright, so this is a local delicacy. It's xue yu hot pot, which is, I believe it's snowfish, a type of fish that you can only find this high up, 4,000 meters up in the surrounding area. Honestly speaking, it's quite a luxury to have this kind of food here, but if you do come, you must have a taste. Bon appetit.
It really wasn't cheap at 180 RMB per half kilo, but nothing beats the feeling of having spicy fish hot pot after you've just spent the last 2 hours on a cold and windy mountain plateau. Speaking of which, the weather on the next stretch of our road was proving to be just as grim.
Oh! When we're this high up in the mountains, the weather changes drastically, and down there is Litang. I can't see it because it's now snowing, but very soon we'll be down there, the world's highest town. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Litang.
I've never spent a night at 4,000 meters above sea level, but it's well worth taking a few days out to explore Litang.
I didn't expect Litang to be this busy, and walking down the street you can still see the locals wearing their typical Tibetan outfits, and even the culture here is very well preserved. But you still can find hotels and hostels, but if you do stay here, I would highly recommend that you don't shower on your first day so you don't fall ill. The villagers start their first circumambulation at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's the first thing they do when they wake up. So if you do want to see this, I would advise you to get up early.
A circumambulation is basically the act of walking around a sacred object, such as a stupa, and I was told the best place to see this is here at Baitar Park. People do these circumambulations in order to gain merit for a better rebirth, and they also spin prayer wheels along the way, which have the same effect as reciting mantras. Litang itself plays an important role in Tibetan Buddhism. Several High Lamas reincarnated here, the most notable of which was the 6th Dalai Lama, who actually wrote this love song, and for whom this park was apparently built to commemorate.
So we're at the entrance of the Changqingchunke Lamasery here in Litang, and these guys are here busy working on their mani stones, and this is pretty cool. And over there you can see this massive mound of mani stones and a huge chorten as well. I'm going to go inside and have a look at the Lamasery.
You'll often find piles of these colourful mani stones lying around. Most are inscribed with the 6-syllable mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum, the mantra of the Bodhisattva of compassion. I've read that pilgrims carry these sacred stones and deposit them all over the landscape as votive objects. They're dotted around rivers, mountain passes, and in particular near places of religious importance. Just a little further on from the wall of mani stones is the huge fortress-like Changqingchunke Lamasery that overlooks Litang. Built in 1580 at the request of the third Dalai Lama, this lamasery has thousands of monks in residence and is one of the largest Gelugpa, or Yellow Hat sect, lamaseries in China. Grand though it is, this impressive structure serves a very functional role and is visited daily by pilgrims. Inside is a world of incredible artwork, and though I'd be lying if I said I could recognise all the deities, I did at least make out two versions of Vajrapani, the Bodhisattva of Wrath, and several of the statues inside the main hall.
The Changqingchunke lamasery is one of the most important lamaseries of the Gelugpa sect, and here you can find incredibly intricate statues, and this one is Tsongkhapa, the founder of the Gelugpa sect, and sitting next to him, the four-armed version of Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, and next to her is Manjusri, the Bodhisattva of wisdom. And you must remember that when you come here, you mustn't point, and if you are to refer to someone, you must point your palm up to show respect.
During a period of strife between the main sects of Tibetan Buddhism, the founder of the Gelugpa sect, Tsongkhapa, combined teachings from various schools into one clear path for his students to follow. Due to the popularity of his teachings, the Gelugpa sect emerged as the dominant one. Built with only the best materials and often redecorated, the murals inside the lamasery are highly acclaimed, and the statues are adorned with precious jewels. However, the most valuable treasure is held in a separate hall, off limits to visitors. When King Songtsen Gampo, the man credited with bringing Buddhism to Tibet, married a Nepalese princess in the 7th century, she brought with her an exquisitely decorated statue of the Sakyamuni Buddha. It is this 1400-year-old statue that stands as the centerpiece of this hall.
Oh wow, this is nice. Hold on, you can't see very clearly, but this is actually the footprint of the third Dalai Lama who built this lamasery, and next to it, the footprint of the 7th Dalai Lama who was reborn here in Litan.
For Tibetans, religion is deeply ingrained in every aspect of daily life, and children are taught from an early age to respect its ideals. And of course, religion becomes all the more important on that most special day.
Locals told me I might be able to catch a Tibetan wedding, so I've actually come here to wait for the bride and groom. This is exciting.
This was a typical Khampa wedding, and everyone had turned out in their best attire. Khampas are one of the 3 main subgroups of Tibetans, and their men are known for being handsome and fearless, and their women for being beautiful. They also take pride in their clothes, and the dress code today includes elaborately decorated robes and headwear and jewellery made of real gold, coral and other precious stones. An entire set may cost upwards of 5 million RMB, so these outfits are usually treasured heirlooms that are passed down through the generations. They're all family members such as brothers and uncles, and one was appointed to read out rites and perform ritual offerings. If you also get invited to a Tibetan wedding, you really must join in. But just also keep in mind that you should always respect their customs. All in all, Litong had been fantastic to us, and I feel like I've come away with a much better understanding of Tibetan culture. My only regret is that we didn't get to explore Litong's famous grasslands, but if you do want to see them, I'm reliably informed that they're at their best in summer.
As we entered the Gansu Tibetan Autonomous Prefecture, we visited Kangding and saw the best that autumn had to offer in Xindujiao. We traversed over mountains over 4,000 metres high and spent a night in Litong, the highest town on earth. I had a great taste of Tibetan culture and also more than my fair share of altitude sickness. But our journey towards Shangri-La isn't even halfway through. I've had great expectations so far because the landscape has been amazing. So let's see what we'll see on the rest of our journey. I'm Turan, and I'll see you on the next episode of Travelogue. 好，师傅，走吧。See you guys later.